indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This meeting has been noticed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. This commission acts in review and recommending capacity for designations and removal of historic properties and districts. The commission also reviews proposed National Register of Historic Places nominations. The commission has final decision-making authority on certificates of historic appropriateness. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Melanie Millar, and I am the chair of the board. To my left, we have Vice Chair Jason Crowley and Pat Jones. To my right, English Hurteau and Donna Gardner. Also seated to my right, we have Assistant County Attorney Andrew Methington? Hethington. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the writing here. Andrew Hethington. And seated to my left, I have Andrea Mellock White, and she is Deputy Director of Zoning and Planning. And I would ask you, Andrea, would you introduce your staff, please?
Of course. We've got Emily Piggott, who will be presenting today's case, along with Monica Eustace, Stephanie Ondo, and Kyle Foster, our arborist.
Thank you. All right. I would like to remind you that in order to get a good recording of the meeting for the minutes, please speak loudly and clearly into your microphones. The next agenda item is the approval of the minutes from the November 20th, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion and a second for approval?
So moved.
Second.
There has been a motion and a second. I would ask staff to please call the roll.
Chair Millar,
Aye.
Vice Chair Crowley,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Gardner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hurteau.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you. The next agenda item is HIST-11-24-00122, a request for a certificate of historic appropriateness. Emily, would you please discuss?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. All right, so as stated, this is a request for a certificate of historic appropriateness for the construction of an in-ground swimming pool at TMS 614-00000763, also known as 3882 Watson View Drive, which is a property within the 10 Mile Community Historic District. So as always, this slide shows all of the CHA applications that have been received to date within the 10 Mile community. The applicant is proposing to construct an in-ground swimming pool to the rear of the home. They have described that the pool decking will utilize pervious pavers in an effort to reduce the amount of impervious coverage on the subject lot. Here is the location of the subject property when we're looking at the county as a whole. Here you can see the location of the subject property in relation to the entire historic district. No previous CHA applications were approved by the commission within 500 feet of the subject property. Here is a map showing the location of the subject property on Watson View Drive, surrounded by properties also within the 10 Mile Community Historic District. As we all know, the 10 Mile community was designated as a Charleston County Historic District in June of 2022, and it was also recognized in the 2016 Charleston County Cultural Resources Survey update as a remnant freedmen community that had significant social organization and settlement patterns. The subject property is zoned special management S3 and is in the process of being developed. The future land use designation is urban, suburban, cultural, community protection. All surrounding properties are also zoned S3 and contain single-family dwelling units or are undeveloped. The subject parcel is in the shaded X flood zone. So here's an aerial view of the subject property, which was taken prior to the start of the construction on the principal dwelling. Here you can also see a history of how this lot was created. The preliminary subdivision plat was submitted and approved prior to the 10 Mile community being designated as a historic district in June of 2022. And then that final subdivision plat was submitted in September of 2022 and approved in July of 2023. So here are site photos of the subject property, as well as neighboring properties. And these are photos of the existing homes along Watson View Drive. Here is the proposed site plan. You can see the single-family dwelling unit at the front of the lot, which is currently under construction. Behind the home is the proposed in-ground swimming pool and decking area, which is shown in that blue and gray colors. I did also want to note that as of today, the 10-mile historic district, any parcels that are 0.25 acres or less in size, the approximate average building footprint is 1,807 square feet, and the average building coverage is approximately 23%. Now, I do want to note building coverage is not synonymous with impervious surface coverage. So the building coverage only takes into account the actual buildings rather than potentially an impervious driveway or any additional impervious surface coverage on the lot. So they are not equivalent. The applicant did provide responses to all of the applicable approval criteria. And based on those applicants' responses, staff does believe the application meets the approval criteria and is recommending approval. We did receive 8 comments in opposition, as well as 1 petition with 41 signatures in opposition. And we did notice this meeting as required. Thank you very much.
Excuse me. Thank you, Emily, for your comprehensive report. All right. Is there any questions for staff from commission members at this time, based on? My question would be the pervious service. And that seems to be a little vague right now. Do we not know yet what that will be?
In terms of the actual material,
Yes.
I would not be able to answer that. However, the applicant is here and they
Okay.
might be able to provide more clarity.
Very good, okay. Before we do have public comment, anybody have any other questions for staff? Hearing none, I'll ask first person to come forward.
Yeah, so both Jose and Jessica Noy signed up. Did you both want to speak, or?
Okay. We would ask you to please state your name and address before you give your comments.
Jose and Jessica Noy?
In 3882 Watson View Drive.
Yes, ma'am.
So we do have the actual I don't know if you want this, the impervious specs for around the pool. And it talks about the material and how it is impervious. And then also just to note that our driveway is impervious as well.
Can you give us a little more detail about that, like what materials you're talking about? And we'd be glad to see that as well, but I'd like to hear that from you, if you don't mind.
This is the person who is.
Building our pool.
Yeah, well, hopefully.
And he is signed up as well to speak.
Yes.
This is David Friedland.
Okay, well, we'll just do a group.
Yes. Hello, David Friedland here. We are planning on using a permeable paver that is Teco Block is the brand. The type is Blue 60, and then we follow the installation guidelines for the permeable paver status, so it will have the large enough gaps. And then the material underneath is going to be a larger gravel base, not just the normal ROC base. So it will allow, and it passes through every county in this area as an impervious material.
Is that the same as for the driveway? Or are you doing a different surface for?
The builder is the one who did the driveway, and it's impervious. We're the only house with the impervious driveway, and it's like a gravel.
Gravel type
Gravel
driveway.
type, yeah.
I did hear from our stormwater department regarding the driveway. It's a pervious asphalt. Yeah, so, yeah, pervious.
As opposed to pavers for the pool.
Right.
Understood.
Just thank you. Thank you for your time.
Okay, everybody? All right, so I guess at this point, since we have both speakers we have no other questions, we'll move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the case is now closed to public comment. Before discussion, is there a motion and a second from commission? I do want to bring to your attention that obviously this is one of the 3 lots that we have had heard comment before and had made a decision on before, and it was appealed. In Charleston County, I believe, has made their decision, obviously, on the building part of this home. So now here we are with the pool. So I just want to make sure we're all up to par on that. I have a question, Emily. I think you might be able to help me with this. Is there, you said there were other pools in the neighborhood. Is that correct?
So within the 10-mile community historic district, I was able to identify 3 other existing in-ground pools. I know some comments submitted said there were 5.
What were the negative comments? What were the comments against this project?
So a lot of the comments were regarding the impervious surface coverage and just not wanting to add to that. A lot of it also spoke about the home not being reduced in size to offset this additional impervious surface coverage.
And you mentioned that there was a conversation about how they would deal with a runoff.
Yeah, absolutely. So this project will be required as part of the zoning permit process to go to stormwater for their review. They will, of course, be looking at the specs that we were just discussing to make sure that that meets our standards. So they would be considered pervious. Mhm. So they do a complete review of the site.
And I would also add that since the subdivision came through somewhat recently under our new stormwater regulations and our impervious surface regulations, that the development as a whole is designed to
Okay.
allow the 40% to be captured by their stormwater features. But like Emily said, they will have to go and have individual reviews as each one comes in to make sure that that's meeting what was originally approved in the subdivision.
And Andrea, I might understand that the pool is also, is it a separate entity for or is this, as this is finished, like, did they inspect this as well? I mean,
They will review each individual, they reviewed each individual house, and any other impervious
Structures,
surfaces that come in
okay.
that require permitting, they will review also, especially as they near that 40% limit.
okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question. Can you please clarify what pervious and impervious are and what is actually allowed?
I would ask Emily.
Yeah, so in terms of what products are actually allowed, that can get quite technical, and I would have to speak with the stormwater department because in certain scenarios, gravel can be considered impervious. So basically, the difference is the ability for water to run through whatever material we're discussing. One thing that I was talking about with stormwater today is they largely don't view gravel as impervious or pervious because of the way that it's installed and maintained over time. So it's not as obvious as it might seem, depending on material choice.
But the material choice for the pool decking is pervious.
Yes, and that would have to be reviewed by stormwater prior to the zoning permit being issued to ensure that it meets our definition. Yes.
And just to clarify that with that being pervious by the pool, that means that it actually can be absorbed into the
Yes.
drainage, drainage, okay.
Yes. So the only thing that would be impervious in this scenario would be the actual pool itself,
Which, yeah, you can't really have
which you want.
a pervious pool.
I would ask Mr. Friedland, do you mind standing up? You don't have to come back. I just had a question. Okay. This is a material that you've used, you said, in the past in other locations?
Correct.
And this has been approved already by the...
Yes, I would imagine, I can't speak to a specific property in this area, but we use this product all the time in places like Isle of Palms and Folly Beach and things that you are required to do impervious.
Right, and they've been approved by the county.
Correct, yeah, and it's manufactured that way. So what it is, it's a paver, so it's a man-made, brick type of paver. There's different sizes and shapes and things of that nature. But each paver, instead of having a flat edge and a flat edge that butt up against each other, they have wings that make them have gaps. So that's just part of it. That's going to allow the water to go through. And then what truly makes it work and be pervious is the material underneath. So you set it differently than a normal paver, or a lot of people in the area use natural stone pavers like travertines or marbles, and those are butted up against each other and on a very hard, compacted gravel base, and they're not
So there's a runoff.
pervious.
It's more of a runoff.
Yeah, so that would be like any other material where it's not letting water really seep through at the percentage that's required for like stormwater runoff. And this one does allow for the water to go right through per the percentages that they're going to require.
Thank you.
Yes, my pleasure.
Is there any other discussion? Or was there a motion at this time? And I guess at that point, we will have discussion.
I'll make a motion. I move that we approve the application due to the fact that the proposed improvements are compatible with the character of the historic district. They don't decrease the historic integrity, and there is no need for mitigation of the impacts.
Second.
Okay, well, the motion has been made and a second based on the approval criteria. I think it all also comes to the surface being later on approved by the county, the council, I guess, who will come forth and approve them. So that being said, is there any discussion from commission members at this point? So we have the motion and the second. All right, hearing none, I think we'll vote.
Chair Millar,
Aye.
Vice Chair Crowley,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Gardner,
Aye.
Commissioner Hurteau.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you for your time. Looks like a beautiful home, and good luck. I mean, you're in a great area, and I know you'd be mindful of where you are, and that's kind of why we're so concerned. So thank you. This is the final decision of the Historic Preservation Commission. If any person with a substantial interest in the decision of the Historic Preservation Commission chooses to appeal the decision, they may do so in the Circuit Court of Charleston County. Such appeal must be filed within 30 calendar days after today's date. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is the end of our business today. No other business that we know of, okay? So we will have our next regularly scheduled meeting, January the 15th, 2025, in council chambers, and I would ask everyone to have a blessed and safe holiday season. Meeting adjourned.
Do we make